Welcome to Madison, Wisconsin, home of Forward Madison and USL League One, where you come for the game and you stay for the vibe. Welcome to the Flock End.
Okay, we're going to get back to whatever this was, but we need to make something very clear off the bat about Madison. This city is fun. It's also weird. And I'm not saying that. The people that you're seeing in this video would be the first to tell you Madison is weird. But it's also fun. And weird. Okay, on with the vlog. So first things first, I already did a video covering the background of Forward Madison as part of a larger video on USL clubs within driving distance of St. Louis. You can check it out on the top right corner, but here's the truncated version. Forward Madison fans are known as the Flamingos, or simply the Mingos. Wisconsin is about the last place in America you'd expect to see one of these pink plastic creatures, but you can thank a prank by University of Wisconsin students for the flamingo becoming the city's official bird. One morning in 1979, students and faculty were greeted by 1,008 plastic pink flamingos in the lawn of Bascom Hill. Now, it's a mascot that represents Madison's eclectic reputation. In fact, the unofficial city motto is "Keep Madison Weird." So a pink flamingo fits right in. Wouldn't fit in anywhere else, but it works for Madison. The main supporter section is the Flock. Like the St. Louligans in St. Louis or your favorite supporter section in your favorite MLS club, the Flock serves as something of an overarching general supporters group. There's also smaller supporters groups representing Latinos, African Americans, and the ladies. Now, if you're watching this internationally, you might have heard of Forward Madison. Their jerseys are some of the most bold and colorful kits in the world of soccer that you'll ever find, and it's not uncommon to see them in places like England, for instance. Here's YouTuber Spencer Owen rocking one after visiting classic football shirts in London. And at a little over 5 hours away, a lot of St. Louisans made the trek to Madison on this particular weekend to see what the Mingos are all about.
This is not your first trek up here at Madison. What keeps you coming back?
5th year. The Mingos, the Flock, they welcome us every year. How could we miss out? When we didn't have a team, we had an interim between St. Louis FC and St. Louis City. 2-year gap, we didn't have a team to support, so we did Louligans on tour all over the country, and this is the one that's always stuck. This is our only repeat trip that we do because the Flock is so welcoming. They've been down to St. Louis, they've tailgated with us at the old soccer park. It's a party. It's the best atmosphere in lower division soccer in the United States.
What makes it so good? Like, just like, describe it for me, because this is my first time.
They're into the game. They are into the cheers. The whole section. I'm going to estimate 800 to 1,000, but they cheer, they yell, they know the chants, they're active, they're involved. Win or lose, guaranteed a good time.
And once we got to the stadium, that's when the magic happens.
Here we go, here we go, here we go.
And then it was time to go inside and check out this converted baseball field. And I found things to be a little bit snug, but pretty nicely laid out given what they had to work with. And oh my, the free samples. I almost didn't need to buy food.
So this is a cold brew float. Let's give it a shot. Not bad. It almost feels like I'm at a Sam's Club or a Costco because they got free cold brew floats. They have free samples of some bubbly sparkling water over there. They also have free samples of like some tea here as well. Yeah, I mean, if you play your cards right, you never have to buy a concession here.
Then it was off to check out the club shop, also known as the Flamboyance. It's a bit dank, given that it's in an old baseball stadium concourse, but well laid out with plenty of shirts and merch available. Now, that's one thing that this club does exceptionally well on, merch.
Now that I got my scarf, as I am wont to do at these games, here's the field. This is Breese Stevens Field. This is one of those ballparks, like many in the United States, that used to be a baseball field. As you can see, it has been converted into a full-time soccer field for Forward Madison. I think long-term, Forward Madison would like to have their own soccer-specific stadium, but in the meantime, this kind of suits their purposes as it stands right now. Tampa Bay Rowdies have a very similar setup down in Tampa, Florida as well. So over here on the far side, over here is the Flock End. That's where we'll be here in just a little bit.
Actually, I got to backtrack a little bit. It does seem Forward Madison will make this their home for at least the foreseeable future. There's plans to upgrade Breese Stevens with expanded seating, renovations, and new field turf, maybe even a concert stage, all ahead of Forward Madison's women's team, which will play in 2025 in the USL Super League. So I finally made it to the Flock End after a long walk around the concourse. In fact, I actually missed the kickoff, but it's okay because I was greeted with all the vibes. Now, for reasons I'm going to explain here in a bit, this isn't going to be a typical vlog for me, partly because this wasn't your typical game day experience, and here's part of the reason why.
You know, it's easy when you're lost in an environment like this to forget that there's an actual game going on.
A few moments later.
And as you can see, just not much going on in the game, but that's not affecting the fans' ability to have a good time, as you can hear.
So with that in mind, it's given me a chance to do something new. Introducing the Soccer Zombie Away Days Ratings, where I'm going to be rating every game day experience that I go to in the USL and other matches based on 4 categories on a scale of 1 to 10. The stadium, the game quality, the value for the ticket and concessions, and the vibes, which rates how fans are engaged with the game and how much fun it is to be around. And this gives me a chance to give this a trial run before I embark on an anti-lease cup tour starting late next month. And yes, I will rate Notre Dame Stadium if I end up there. That one is not 100% set in stone yet. And yes, you may have noticed this won't be my first Forward Madison game on this tour. I'll be back in Omaha on August 3rd when the Mingos take on their frenemies, the Buhos, in Nebraska. I went there for their US Open Cup match against a certain blue club from Kansas and had a great time there as well. You can check out that video by clicking the button on the top right. Now back to Madison, and let's start with the stadium. This is a place that makes the absolute most out of its small footprint. Ample seating along the sideline, with the Flock End being a little bit snug and on metal bleachers, but again, that's something that's getting an improvement soon. The video board is in front of what I presume is the press box. They've turned most of the old baseball grandstand into standing areas and a fan deck, but as you can see, it makes for a pretty tight arrangement, which isn't a bad thing. Intimate environments sometimes create the best atmosphere, and I think it actually helps here in Madison. And the food and merch stands in the Flock End felt roomy, with some of the concession and merch stands themselves in converted shipping containers, which they also have near the main entrance as well. I like quirky things like that and making the most of what you have, while also being unique at the same time. I also had no trouble finding street parking a block away, so that's a big plus. But One complaint I will have is the restroom facilities, or lack thereof. There's porta potties on the flock end, and I must have missed the ones near the entrance. Also, it's a pain to get around to the flock end, as you have to walk a long way around with only one entrance into the stadium on the southwest corner. So I'll give Breese Stevens Field an 8.5. It definitely stands on its own. It's unique. They made the best out of the situation, but there's definitely room to improve. But the fact it's getting an 8.5 out of 10 means it's a solid place to watch a game. The fact there will be improvements also bumps up the score a bit. Next up is the game quality, and this is the only real black mark in this video. Now, admittedly, the flock was so hyped that I didn't get to watch a heck of a lot until I found a spot on the rail in the second half, but there was nothing happening between Forward Madison and South Georgia Tormenta. Nothing. Madison had one shot on target all game. Tormenta had 3, but Tormenta isn't a bad side at this level, and at least it wasn't a loss. But I have to be honest, a 0-0 draw with so little on target isn't going to get a high score. So this one gets a 4. Nothing against the players, they tried, but it's still a 0-0 draw with little action.
Sadly, they did not score a goal for that man there. A pity.
Now on to value, and this one's going to get a good score. I'm just going to warn you, and here's why.
If you follow my channel for any length of time, you've heard me gripe about the value of American sports here and comparing it to, like, in England, for instance, where it's a lot cheaper. Not the case here in Madison. So for $25, it got me in the stadium, in the supporters end. It also got me these 2 beer vouchers and a brat voucher.
And it was a pretty good brat, too.
Really good deal. This is, I would say, $25 for this is really good. You've got the 2 beers, one that I drank already, you got the brat, and you got a good game experience.
And if you play your cards right, that comes with a front row seat.
Look how close I am to this field. I mean, I could almost reach out and, like, almost touch the goal. Like, people in MLS will play 3 figures at least to be this close to the field. Here in Madison, my ticket costs $25. If you're talking about value, 10 out of 10, absolutely.
And one fan I spoke to said the flock wouldn't have it any other way. They're currently allowed to be this close to the field at USL League One, but if they ever went to the championship, there'd have to be changes. So I committed myself to giving Forward Madison a 10 out of 10 for value when I was behind the goal, and honestly, after sitting on this for a few days, I'm going to keep it that way, and here's why. $25 gets you in the door, a bratwurst in your hand, 2 beers to wash it down with, which the beer and brat would have cost about $25 by themselves, and a place in the stadium that you couldn't be any closer to the field to unless you actually stood on the grass with a pair of goalie gloves and shin pads, and alongside some fun fans, which we'll talk more about here in a bit. What more could you possibly want out of a day at a day game at that kind of a price level? You can't find that anywhere else. You just simply can't. 10.0, that's the rating. I have no idea how this club makes money. Probably because their merch is so great. And now we get to the vibes, and as you can imagine, this one is rating pretty high as well. Every game, not just this one, every game in the flock end is a party, a way to get people together under a common cause and just be themselves and provide a comfortable environment to express themselves.
How long have you been a Forward Madison supporter?
Since day one, 2019.
Since day one, 2019. So in 5 years, this club has built such a vibe. I mean, you know, what does it mean to you being a Flamingo?
Oh, it's great. I mean, it's community, right? Like, you come here, you see people you know, people you don't know, but everybody's family. Like, win, lose, or draw, we're fans of the team, and we're all here together. So it's soccer, it's community, it's everything you want.
So what's some of the favorite parts of the fan day experience here? Like, for one, we're like right on top of the field. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, the level of access that we have is great. We, as the supporters group, the flock, we have a tailgate before every game. That's where we just get to all get together and be friends and hang out with each other before coming and losing our voice and getting drunk and all of that. Yeah. But getting to be this close to the team, getting to communicate with the players during the game, like, you just can't get this in other leagues.
Well, and like we were talking before we recorded, like St. Louis, you know, me being a fan of St. Louis City SC has made me a lot of friendships. Has this club made you a lot of friendships?
Oh yeah, this club is most of my social circle at this point. I mean, 5 years in, we're seeing each other at least once a week, and then whether it's social events or board meetings or all sorts of stuff going on behind the scenes, we're together all the time.
So a common bond in sports makes friendships for all. It's great, man.
Absolutely.
And there were about a couple dozen of us up from St. Louis, many of us having made multiple return trips, and for a good reason. Personally, this was my first, and I found the fans here colorful and smiling, also super nice and eager to help out. One of them even bought me a scarf, and the flock even provided our St. Louis contingent some free swag to give away at the next City SC game. I copped a pair of sunglasses from that swag, by the way. It's the kind of thing that makes soccer the growing sport it is today. No other sport can bring people together like this and make it more than just the game. It's a common bond that connects people across great distances. So, okay, I normally don't like the wave being done at sporting events, but it just kind of fit the vibe here, and to their credit, the whole stadium took part. I couldn't really wander too much from my area, but everyone around the stadium seemed to be having a good time here, and again, the game itself was a blah 0-0 affair. But I didn't encounter a single fan when I left the stadium that felt bad about being there today. So if you can make a boring 0-0 affair into something that you can thoroughly enjoy and take with you days later, I can't give it anything but a 10 out of 10 either. Though I am tempted to knock off a half point for this.
You know, because pink is a color of Forward Madison, I'm going to forgive this messy jersey here at a USL League One game. I'll forgive it.
Meaning Forward Madison gets a solid bar to top for other clubs, a 32.5 out of 40. Now, if only the game were a bit better, that score would be even higher, but once again, the fan experience made it all worth it.
And in the end, isn't that why we're fans? To have a good time, to have fun, to hang out with friends. Yes, if you're in a competitive league, obviously the game matters more. But here in Madison, it's just a way for friends to get together and have a good time. And if they win a league title, great. If not, as you saw today, even if it's a 0-0 draw, you can still have some fun. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe for more. I'm hitting the road a few more times around the USL, trying to show off the USL to you and rating the fan experiences for you here on this channel. But in the meantime, from Madison, Wisconsin at Breese Stevens Field, this is your soccer zombie, Tom Franklin, and I'll see you next time.